Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Matthew Finlan about Ezra series, which is premiere October 1st on OUTtv. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me. It's my pleasure.
It's exciting. I was telling you before we started, we're going to talk about Ezra. It's a really cool series that I can't wait for everyone to see. But you have so many other projects too. I mean, it's hard for hosts because it's like, where do you start? You got to make sure you talk about everything. Like, you have so many projects, Matthew.
Well, thank you. It's something I call a beautiful problem, when you have too much to talk about. Yeah.
So many elements with Ezra, so much kind of goes through your mind, I guess, when you're cast for this. Which elements that kind of stood out for you the most? Was it a lot of the relationships? Was it the representation? Was it the vampire? Like, what kind of stood out for you specifically with this project?
You kind of hit it on the nail on the head right there.
Yeah, I just gave you answers, basically.
Yeah, you gave them all to me. But no, first of all, it was a project shooting in Toronto, where I'm from and based out of, which is always beautiful to be able to walk to work or be really close to home, which is really nice. Mm-hmm. Then, yes, there was the representation, which was really cool. But then it's always been like a bucket list of mine to be on a vampire show or something. And although Cade, the character I play, is not necessarily a vampire, existing in that world with the vampires is very cool. And then, it's kind of been a hit of mine to play these sort of like darker characters. So when I saw the breakdown, I was like, okay, I think this is a guy that I could get in line with. It's funny, he was originally named Dante. We since switched the name of the character, but when Dante came through, I was like, I think I could be Dante. So I was like, this is right up my alley. Yes and yes and yes. So I crossed my fingers, and then look, here we are. It panned through.
I'm sure it's kind of an overwhelming feeling in terms of working on a show in the genre of kind of vampires, knowing that it's so big right now. There's a lot of amazing shows and there's an appetite also for that genre, specifically of horror. Do you ever think about things like that? Like it's like, is it overwhelming to think about?
I think you never really know how it's going to turn out. You always wait to see the final edit to be like, am I part of something that has the chance to blow up, or is it going to be a humble project? But yeah, Ezra really took shape, especially as we were making it. And then of course there's always stuff like on the day you see how it sort of comes together. And the team behind Ezra, Luke Hutchie, Chelsea Clark, like they were really fantastic in encouraging us to embody the characters and make whatever subtle changes we felt to the script or the dialogue to kind of embrace it a little bit more. And I think that when you do that, you inherently get a more authentic performance, which when you're dealing with the world of vampires and the supernatural, there is a risk to go to like a really dramatic, heightened sense of everything. But I think what Ezra does really well is strips it back and shows you a concept of vampires you already know, but in a way you've never seen it before. Kind of like Gossip Girl meets, Vampire Diaries in a fun little way with like a new, fresh take on it, with a really modern perspective, which is kind of what drew me to the script a lot. I was like, oh, wow, I've never heard vampires speak this way. Which makes it just like so digestible. And you really want to sink your teeth into it, pun intended. And
you had to do that. Yeah, absolutely. Without, giving much away, when people because it's going to be premiering October 1st on OUTtv, people are going to be able to see it then. What are you hoping they'll get out of it when they watch Ezra specifically?
Good question. I hope they get the comedy from it. It's really hilarious. I hope that they enjoy seeing themselves on screen. I think there's a little bit of everybody in each one of these characters, whether they're mortal or not. And following this through line. Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I hope they get out of it. I hope that they make memes. I hope that they, pick out anything that they see themselves in, and then sort of let us know as the team to be like, this is where I saw myself, and then we sort of can run with that for any subsequent seasons. I hope they don't get too scared. We have some really fun special effects on it. The team behind it was fantastic. And then I think, Luke did a fantastic job of assembling a cast of already sort of known talent, but none of us have entered this genre before in terms of vampires. So it's really cool to see faces you would know from other popular shows to go, oh my God, now they're vampires. And to just see us navigate ourselves through this new genre. So I hope there's a bit of a treat in that, seeing familiar faces in unfamiliar places.
Yeah,
I mean, sense.
Absolutely. I mean, unfamiliar territory for you for vampire stuff, sure, but not for the horror genre, because we recently saw you in a prequel of one of my favorite horror movies. Like that, like when I saw the first Orphan, it genuinely just terrified me. Like it was so scary all along. So there were rumblings for many years about, a new movie and everything. And then finally we get Orphan First Kill, which recently dropped on Paramount Plus, which is a prequel. And my question for you, and when I got this interview confirmed, I was really excited to chat with you about this specifically. And I had like a specific question because, you obviously got a lot of like, what was it like working on like a horror movie and like a lot of that. But I feel like everyone that's on that movie is in a very interesting situation, in my opinion, because there's familiarity and there's unfamiliarity. There's familiarity where they know about the first one, but there's not familiarity. Like it's a different kind of story that happened before the first movie, different characters, different landscape and everything. So it's a new territory for Matthew Finlan, but it's also it's a new and it's an old as well. So there's familiarity. What's that like for you specifically? I feel like that's a unique situation, right?
Well, this project was really unique for me because it was the first movie I had ever made. Hands down, first movie. Wow. I had just been doing a lot of theater and a lot of television.
TV, yeah.
So to enter into a movie, it was kind of me learning, okay.
That was before Brazen?
It was, funny enough. It was.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I'm just like, wait a second.
No, it's crazy. You don't know when they're going to be released. And it just so happened to go that way. Yeah. So it's kind of crazy. And it was a wild ride to shoot on. I was a huge fan of the original, like you were saying you are. And it has like a cult following a little bit, which definitely I felt the pressure, being one of the fans myself, knowing that like if we mess this up, we are going to be told about it. And I'm sure there are people out there who, would have done it a little bit differently, but the general response has been people saying like, oh, I did not see that one coming. And that's what I experienced when reading the script for it. I was like, why are we making a prequel to this movie that already we know the biggest twist about it? And then when I got to the point in the script, I was like,
okay.
Oh, this justifies it.
Yeah, and I don't want to touch that just in case people haven't seen it. It hasn't been out for that long, if you think about it.
No, it hasn't.
Yeah,
it hasn't, truly. So no spoilers, but it's definitely worth the watch, and I think it definitely justifies why it was made when you get to that point in the movie. And it was so cool to work on. It was insane to be doing the table read across from Isabel and being like, I know you as Esther, and you are literally Esther right now. Like, it was mind-boggling. But it made it really easy because she was just who she was. You know what I mean?
And people can watch Orphan First Kill now on Paramount Plus. Unlike Ezra, they don't have to wait. They can watch it right now. I wanted to bring up Brazen because I feel like that's a movie that I did some interviews for. I interviewed Sam Page and Malachi Ware about it as well. And
love them.
I feel, they were so good together on screen. Like
they're so good. They should get a spin-off cop show.
They should. I agree. That came up in the interviews. But I love movies like Brazen that make the audience member a detective for an hour and a half.
Yes.
And I think that movie really did that role well, in my opinion. So I'm wondering if that's the type of movie you sign up for. Like, do you know you're making a movie where like the audience member has to be a detective and be on their toes and like pay attention? Like, I'm wondering, does that ever sink in at all?
You know, that didn't sink into my mind just because of the character that I was playing and the
Yes.
track that I was following. But I think what you're picking up on is Monica Mitchell, our director,
Yep. Who I've
did a
interviewed as
really
well.
good
Yep.
job.
I interviewed her
Ah,
too. Yeah.
I love Monica.
Yeah.
She's an absolute sweetheart. But she was really conscious of that when she was building the film and really trying to narrow, uh, basically try and make Gerald as far away from a suspect, or rather, I should say, make everybody a suspect, and really try to find a way to pick out the any suspicious dealings that people had, and keep you really second guessing. And I think it was successful when
Did
we
you
saw the
know
final cut.
about did you know about the reveal and everything? Did you know about the character like when you auditioned?
You know, when I auditioned, no.
Okay.
The first audition, they just gave me the sides, and I was like, okay, let's do this. And I actually auditioned for a couple of roles, and then got some callbacks. Funny enough, for both of the roles, and then I was sent the script, and then I read the script, and I was like, oh, I need to make some different choices if this is what's going to be. Um, and then yeah, then I remember in the audition. Monica gave some really good advice. Am I allowed to spoil it? Can I spoil it or
It's
no?
out.
Is it too
So,
late?
okay,
It's
spoiler
out. It's
alert.
out.
It's been out for a long time.
Okay.
Orphan
Yeah.
vs.
Spoiler
Kill has been
alert.
fresh, so but this
Yeah.
one's been out for a while.
No OFK spoilers, but in terms of Brazen, yeah. When I had the audition, I remember Monica said, because the last scene, the really intense confrontation
Yeah.
was the audition, and she was like, "Look, I need to cut away from you, a teenage boy being shot uh, by this police officer, to them making out on a couch.
Yeah.
And I need to do it in such a way that the audience is not going to be upset that that's what happened. So, however you play this, I just need you to take it up an octave and really go high octane with this one. And I love direction like that. Basically, you tell me to go unhinged, I will go unhinged. And it was from that moment that I was like, okay. And then the real challenge with a role like that is to how do you bring it back and not be suspicious and really just be like a sweetheart in all the other scenes, so that when it gets to that point, people are like, I really didn't know he had that
See,
side.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I said, detective, right? So I'm like
Yeah.
really into it. So I
You
was
knew it
kind
was
of
me from the beginning. Is that
no.
what you're gonna say?
I wouldn't say the beginning,
Yeah,
but I. You're just putting me on the spot here. No, I'd say
no. It's totally fair.
I'd say there were like, again, I don't want to go into big spoilers, but there were like moments where like there were like some of my suspects like were not suspects anymore, and I was like, it has to be you.
Yeah. No. It's so true. It's so true. I mean, also it's kind of like Law and Order when you see like the biggest name, the guest star in the opening credits when they've just got like a little scene, you're like, something tells me it might be them at the end.
I loved it, man. I love that movie. I really enjoyed it. It was fun to watch. Is it fun to? I mean, Brazen's more thriller than horror, but it's pretty crazy to be able to work in horror at the time where it's so like it's the genre right now, man. It's crazy, right?
Know. I love it, and that's the thing about doing a movie too, is it's all hands on deck, and when you're doing it, I don't want to say it's like a soap opera because it's not a soap opera,
No.
but the stakes that appear in a soap opera, I would argue, are the same that happen in a horror. Like in the same day you're on set, you can be running for your life, screaming about something, like screaming bloody murder that you're gonna freaking die, and that would be the climax in any other genre. But in horror, that's just another Tuesday, and it's really exciting, and people freaking love it. It's kind of like musicals. Like if people love musicals, they love musicals. And when people are in horror, they love horror. And everybody who's on the team watches them. Everybody's like, have you seen this one? Have you seen this one? This reminds me of this and that. And so you're always drawing inspiration. And it's just like it's a genre that I love. So to step into it. Maybe that's why I'm doing a lot of it right now, because
you're doing a lot in that, and it's also it's spooky season coming up too. So you're kind of like taking advantage of that. No, it's crazy. We've been doing a lot of interviews on Popternative with the cast of Blumhouse's The Black Phone, and it is just people are loving this movie. People are loving the interviews, and it's just such an amazing. It's just so amazing to see how much people just love this, and it's so amazing to look at like Orphan First Kill that comes out in the summer, but then kind of has a good window, right, with spooky season around the corner of people watching it. Like that's exciting too. But no, so many good projects. Matthew, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative. This was so great chatting with you.
Oh my God, no, thank you. Thank you so much. This was a treat. And you know what, for the next spooky one, let's save the date and we can have a chat about it again.
Absolutely,
as well.
Absolutely. Ezra OUTtv, October 1st.
Yeah. You don't want to miss it. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Orphan First Kill, available now on Paramount Plus.
Yep.
And then in a movie called Brazen, which spoiler alert, no, I'm not gonna say it. I was gonna say
no, you can say it.
Spoiler alert, you might or might not be the guy that did everything.
See what drives me to do that. Do you know what I mean? See what pushes Gerald to do what he does.
That's on Netflix. Really. So Triple Threat, all these projects. You have an Instagram account people can keep up to date with as well?
Yes, I do. It's just my name, Matthew Finlan, Finlan. And I'm a little green alien just on there. So I'm not verified yet. So don't be suspicious that there's no blue check mark. But it is in fact me. Yeah.
Soon it will happen.
Hopefully.
Absolutely. This has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Ezra is going to be premiering October 1st on OUTtv. Until next time, it's Matthew Finlan and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.